Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Filled up my gas tank today.
Oh, did you really?
15 gallons or so.
Yeah.
$74.
Highest gas prices have ever been in America.
$74 to fill up your tank. Holy moly. I'll tell you what, I'll be driving a lot less. It's just going to cut down on the amount of driving. I think that's what's going to happen. People just go,
of course,
I'm not going to do this.
Right.
How about those people driving electric cars? They're feeling pretty good.
Yeah. They're saying, told you so.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. I mean, you're still using energy consumption. It's just from a different avenue. That's all.
Yeah.
But still, the pain at the pump, holy moly.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's the highest ever. Yeah.
I left my house today, and the low gas light was on.
Oh, yes. The little, Do you get anxious?
Well, here's the thing. If I'm the only one driving the car, I have a very good idea
of where you are.
Of where I am.
Yep.
But my daughter had the car on Saturday, and I specifically told her, do not put gas in it because I have, points I need to,
Sure.
and this is the perfect time to cash in the points.
Well, they were probably erased in the last couple of days.
Anyway, so I said, don't get gas. So she didn't get gas. However, when I got in, I realized I didn't know exactly when the light came on because it was out of my... Then, I'm driving on the side of the road, okay, so what's going to happen?
That's good. You got to think about disaster.
Would John come get me if I ran out of gas on the Fort Pitt Bridge?
Sure.
What if it was in the tunnel? Would he come then?
No,
what if it was on Green Tree
then.
Hill? Yeah, John wouldn't come get me.
No, PennDOT would push you out of there.
But I made it.
That makes it a little
I seriously made it. So as soon as I leave work, job one is to go right to the local gas station and get.
When's the last time? Have you ever run out of gas on the road?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Oh, my gosh.
Christy?
Never, Chris.
Never.
Oh, I've done it several times.
Never.
I mean,
have you really?
Yeah. And then you want to get out of the car and paint a capital D on your forehead. You big dummy.
Okay. Was it just you being stupid, or was your gas gauge broken?
No, it's just me being stupid and proud, probably.
Right.
I see the little light. I'm okay. Hello, the car must be broken. Oh, no, you're out of gas.
That must be a terrible feeling.
Well, it's kind of like what you do. You kind of go, I'm planning ahead for disaster, and then I'm going to pull off to the side of the road. Luckily, he doesn't. And then, thank goodness, I called my wife. Hey, the gasoline for the lawnmower? Can you pull that out and come visit me? She's like...
On the Parkway East, honey?
Exactly. On the side of the road, and that's what happens. It's such is life.
It's not such as life. That's just, it shouldn't happen.
No, it happens. It happens all the time, I believe, It's just how it is. Anyway, we got a full Ukrainian show for you today.
Yeah, we do.
A really interesting show for you. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, Kath, as we always do, we get underway by looking at the news, whether it's local, national, or international. Please, without further ado, give us the top 4 at 4.
For Tuesday, pardon me, March 8th, 2022. March 8th already.
Feels good.
John holds a Mineola. Number 1. The number of international fighters, John, helping Ukraine is growing every day. According to CBS News, the Ukrainian government reports more than 16,000 foreigners have arrived, including Americans. Interesting profile in CBS. Talked about 2 different men. One guy's name, Andriy Penchak, American licensed truck driver who was born in Ukraine. He landed with 3 other Americans ready to go into the war zone. He told CBS This Morning co-anchor Tony DeCoppel that he wanted to save the lives of Ukrainians still in the country. Launched his mission from Bucks County, PA. He's never been to battle and used personal savings to pay for his plane ticket. How about that?
What happens if you're killed over there? What happens?
He has 3 kids.
Well, God bless them all. Peace be with you.
Number 2. After 122 years of effort, did you hear what I said? 122 years of effort. A bill making lynching a federal hate crime is ready to be signed into law. The U.S. Senate unanimously passed the bipartisan Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act to allow crimes to be prosecuted as a lynching if a victim is killed or injured as a result of a hate crime. Now, it is hard to believe that it took 122 years for us to get that passed.
Well, not really. It's not that hard to believe.
Okay. Anti-lynching bills, John, introduced in Congress as early as 1900. Before this week, the House failed over 200 times to criminalize lynching on the federal level. How about that? That's from USA Today. Number 3. Less than 2 months after the Fern Hollow... let me just say, it's great news that was finally passed. I feel like I didn't...
yeah, of course, yes.
I feel like I didn't
100%. That's
emote enough about that. Number 3. Less than 2 months after the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh, PennDOT officials announcing both design and construction efforts underway to replace the bridge. The new structure will remain along the same roadway with 4 lanes for vehicles, shoulders, a sidewalk, and a shared-use path. Construction will start in late April.
That's crazy. Late April. So it's going to be like hyperspeed to get this thing done.
How about that? Because bridge collapse was January 28th.
Wow. So they were saying 2 years it'll take to complete this, but now it feels as though it's a lot faster.
I can't imagine it's going to take 2 years to build it.
I can't imagine.
So if it's starting in that quickly.
Late April.
Yeah.
And they're saying heavy on the concrete, less on the steel, because steel's hard to come by now. Specialty steel, I should say.
Well, should we be concerned about that?
Just don't put salt on it.
Number 4. And Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a Steeler.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Say it ain't so.
Sorry, Christy. Cry me a river. Okay, it's not going to happen.
How about Russell Wilson?
No, he's not going to be a Steeler either.
How about Russell Moore?
Russell Moore, unavailable, working for ZT. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers signed a 4-year, $200 million deal with the Packers that would give him $153 million in guaranteed cash. He is 38 years old.
38?
And that is your top 4.
It's a 4-year contract.
4-year deal.
All right.
$153 million guaranteed. Christy, he's not married yet. You are not married either. You might want to consider trying
He's just a tad old.
He's
for
a tad
me.
older, yeah.
Okay.
Plus, he's got a man bun.
I'm fine with the man bun.
You're fine with the man bun.
I hate that hair. But $153 million could cause you to disregard the,
I wouldn't have to work with you guys anymore.
Yeah, that'd be sad.
Don't do that then.
That'd
Stay
be
away from
sad.
Aaron.
Forget
No
it.
Aaron
And forget the
Rodgers for
mayor.
me.
Nope. Do
Anyway,
not do that.
and Russell Wilson, they just said a couple days ago that they weren't trading Russell Wilson, and today he's a Denver Bronco.
Yep, and he's got a Cinnabon.
That's going to be some kind of division, isn't it?
The heck is going on there?
Holy cow. Anyway,
All right.
We need to take a break. When we come back, like John said, a terrific show today dedicated to Ukraine. In the 5 o'clock hour, our friend Father Jason Charron, who spent the last week in Ukraine helping orphans across the border, is going to be with us. And coming up next, Jennifer and Alex Kyyashko. Next.
101.5 WORD.
Your station for Unlimited Grace with Brian Chappell.
As we are in Christ, united to Him, we are now also in God, united to God, not separated by sin, not separated by shame, not separated by circumstances, but united to the Father, King of the universe, by the work of Jesus Christ.
Unlimited Grace with Brian Chappell, weekday afternoons at 1:30 on 101.5 WORD.
Train up a child in the way they should go. Well, you know the rest. It's a calling you take very seriously as a Christian parent. And Trinity Christian School in Forest Hills seeks to honor your commitment by working together with parents to prepare students who are academically sound and spiritually ready to take their place in the world through a classical approach to education that helps build a faith from which they will never depart. Trinity Christian School, one of the top K-12 schools in Allegheny County, at trinitychristian.net.
In the Bible, Jesus says when we care for the least of these, it's like we're caring for Him. But who are the least of these? They're moms, like Mirna from Guatemala, who fights every day just to keep her children fed.
Right now, they are hungry. They want food, and we don't have money enough to get to that whole week.
COVID-19 has left the world's poorest families on the brink of starvation. Throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, the basics of food and access to clean water are a daily struggle.
Living is really hard. I only get food when other people give me food.
When you partner with Food for the Poor, you answer the desperate prayers of moms and kids. Your gift of $175 will provide food for a year and water for life for 2 suffering children. Just pennies a day gives food and water, hope and life. Please, give life now. Call 855-828-4673, 855-828-4673, or click the red Give Life banner at wordfm.com.
Year after year, it's the same routine. Drop off the taxes, pick up the taxes, leave a check. Maybe it's time to work with a business CPA who is less transactional and more relational. From Mike Radich and the team at MGR CPA and Consultants, it's about more than crunching the numbers. It's about getting the advice you need for complex tax issues and business solutions. It's just a better return. MGR CPA and Consultants. Honesty, integrity, always. At mgrcpa.com. We've all been
our phones and computers and TV screens. But we don't want to stay there because we know that God is still God. We know that he's accomplishing a purpose on earth. And so I don't want to be overwhelmed by evil. I want to learn how to overcome evil with good. And so to that end, we have two special guests in the studio, actually three, but only two are on mic today. I'm happy to have Jennifer and Alex Kyyashko. Did I pronounce it correctly? It's my Polish background, right?
Amazing.
We're blood brothers and sisters. Anyway, in the studio today to talk about Ukraine. Welcome, you guys, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
It's a big story. There's a lot to cover here, but I think I need to start with you, Jennifer, because your story is what brought your husband and the creation of your family here to Western Pennsylvania. So we've known each other for a long time through your mother and father, Jill and Don Wadsworth. And you, as a young girl in high school, picked up a thread about Russia and Ukraine. Go back to that sort of the beginning of that story and tell us why. What was it?
Yeah, so, I actually grew up on the north side of Pittsburgh, for people who are familiar with the north side. And, as I'm going into high school, there were not a lot of phenomenal public school options on the north side of Pittsburgh. And so I wanted to go to Taylor Outerdice, which is in Squirrel Hill. Yeah. But, I lived in the wrong area. I did not live in the correct area to go to Outerdice. And so I had a couple options. Some people were able to kind of fudge an address and say they lived with an aunt, or you could take a subject that was only offered at Outerdice and no other city school.
I see.
So I had to take Russian for 4 years to go to Outerdice, and just had such a love for it. So much was happening. It was the, late 80s and early 90s, and things were falling apart. And so I just had a desire to keep going, continued to study it when I was in college. Had no idea why. I just felt like God was leading me in that path. And so I continued to study Russian. And then my senior year in college, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. No idea. But I was going to a church in Baltimore, and out of the blue, they decided to open a church in Kyiv, Ukraine. And they said, the leadership is going to come from this church. And I said, I've been studying Russian. And so 2 weeks after I graduated from college, I was in Kyiv.
Whoa. And
I was scared to death. In my mind, it was going to be gray and scary and cold and boring. And in my mind, I was going to do my time, 1 year in my mind, and get out. And, I got there, and I was met by so many amazing people that I'm friends with to this day, people that we talk to today even, and just surrounded by youth, surrounded by people. And, it was that moment I said, this is why I studied Russian. It was for the Ukrainian people, because I had and still have such a love for that people. They're just amazing, generous people. Very, very resourceful, but they may have $2, but they will invite you into their home, and they will make this unbelievable meal. And so I ended up staying in Ukraine for about 5 years, worked with my church, worked with Youth of the Mission, and then in the last, I think, few years, I met my husband, Alex, who I call Sasha, in church. And, we had an immediate bond. We got married in both U.S. and Ukraine.
You did it twice?
We did it twice.
I love that. Just to be sure.
Yes. But, obviously have such an incredible heart for Ukraine. And, of course, that is his people. Those are, we love them to death. Our in-laws, our family, our friends are there. Kathy, everything you said just completely resonated with me, and I think everyone, because it's almost unimaginable, some of the things that are happening right now.
Yes. And so, Alex, as you came in to sit down, you told us today you watched the city that you grew up in, your hometown, essentially be destroyed.
Yeah, that was 3 rockets were flying just an hour and a half ago towards my city.
And what city is that?
It's Borispil. It's basically that's where the international airport is for Kyiv. So it's a little like maybe 16 miles away from Kyiv. And they were able to intercept 2, and one actually landed. So far, it's only a couple wounded people, which is we're really lucky that nobody really died. But it's just happened in
the beginning.
Yeah. So I mean, literally just an hour and a half ago.
Now you have family still in Ukraine, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Talk to us about that.
So my mom and my sister, after spending 2 nights in the basement of the garage, basically they made a decision to go west, and it was a perfect window for them to to escape from this beginning, in the beginning of the war, west, basically. So at first there was a lot of traffic coming, as soon as it started, a lot of traffic started building up from Kyiv going to Lviv, which is western part of Ukraine, and people were sitting in the traffic for 6-7 hours, moving only 200 yards, and that's when I was telling my mom and sister essentially just stay put for now until it's going to clear up, and as soon as it clear up, they start traveling there, and luckily they got really nice spot in one of the western cities in Ukraine, and they were able to reserve really nice extra spot where they can stay. So that's where they're at right now.
So they're safe.
They're safe. Yeah, they are safe. Although in the beginning, Russia even tried to hit that city with a ballistic missile, but they are not in the city. They are like more in a mountain area. So it's a little more reserve, which atrocity of Russia's right now is unimaginable right now.
Sure.
That they're trying to put us, put scary, using scary tactics, to hit every single city, basically telling everybody that you're not safe anywhere, type of deal.
Yeah.
So,
Alex, this is a difficult question, but talk about your feelings about having your country invaded.
It's tough. It's really tough. Seeing my people right now suffering and being in attack for 8 years now, almost up to date, and having this war, I knew it's going to come eventually because...
you just come to the point of accepting it?
Yeah, right now this is the time. This is the time when my people rise up against this aggressor who was trying to, basically keep us by their side in captivity for almost 300 years. So this is the liberty, and I'm feeling extremely sad that it's happening this way, but I also feel a large sense of pride of how they just stood up and fight right now, and they're bringing them free food into cities that they captured, and those Russian soldiers bring them food. They open up their trucks to give food, and none of the Ukrainians walked out to get that food. None of them. They said, get out. Get out. We need you to be out. Because one person said, there was the Ukrainian fighter back in the days in 1940s. He said that if country will pick food over their freedom, they will lose their freedom and they will lose their food. But if they will pick their freedom, they always will find the food. Yes. So that's it stuck with me.
And this is very complex because, of course, Russian and Ukrainians, despite the government, right, there are many people who cross the border who live, as cousins or brothers and sisters or deeply connected. But at the same time, I would imagine there has to be a lot of anger from Ukraine towards Russian citizens for whether it's their inactivity or their complicity because...
Or their silence.
They're part of Russia.
Yeah. And it's really hard to see people that we love deeply that are in Russia and they are brainwashed to the point of no return. Almost.
So talk about that. That's state-controlled media?
Yes.
Okay, it's a restriction on the information that they're getting?
Yes.
So they don't know the true story.
They don't, but even if they do, they still deny it. That's really hard to imagine, but that's where they at right now.
But that's been happening for so long. In the country. I mean, that's part of their history.
Yeah, and right now it looks like they open up the faucet to the full extent. They're just pouring absolute, lies on TV and through the radio and on the web.
Yeah.
So it's hard to crystal ball something like this, but what do you foresee? I mean, can Russia overtake Ukraine?
No, never. They're never going to overtake Ukraine. They never will. If they will, they will never be able to control our people because that's how much fight they have in them, and they, fight for freedom. Just that I don't know. It's always been there.
Jennifer, talk to us about your faith. What's going through your mind right now, your faith community, and how you've been reaching out and praying.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, first of all, it's been overwhelming, the amount of just support and love, from a country that feels like it was so completely divided. Just people pouring out donations, love, prayer in just every single way. It's been amazing. And I truly believe, we have so much support in not only Ukraine, but in the West, all around. We have people praying daily, right, hourly. And I believe like that, our faith, along with, everything that Sasha said in terms of the people and them rising up, I truly believe that, God is intervening and is going to intervene in this situation, and we truly believe with all of our hearts that this is they are not going to be victorious in this situation. We truly believe that God is intervening, and on behalf of the Ukrainian people and everyone that is interceding.
Jennifer and Alex Kyyashko are with us. We're talking about Ukraine, which is Alex's birthplace. And Jen, would you call it kind of your adopted country too?
I would say so.
We need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about that adopted country. We'll talk more about the refugee crisis and what each one of us can do to support the people who need it the most. It's the ride home.
When it's time to replace your roof, siding, gutters, and downspouts, entry doors, and, of course, windows, you can count on Windows R Us, the area's premier exterior replacement company. This is John Steigerwald. With over 50 years' experience in the home remodeling industry, Windows R Us offers repair and replacement for all your exterior home projects. Why pay double with some other companies? Windows R Us will always give you the best price on the best in-class products, backed by the best warranties in the industry, all with zero sales pressure. And speaking of zero, right now, get zero interest financing for 12 months and no processing fee. With prices set to increase on all exterior products, lock in your quote today. Schedule a free estimate at windowsruspittsburgh.com. Find them at the Pittsburgh Home Show now through Sunday. You've tried the rest, now try the best. windowsruspittsburgh.com.
What is a neighbor? This is Greg Trzynski, and at the Original Mattress Factory, we believe a neighbor is more than just someone who lives nearby. A good neighbor treats you with honesty and respect and works with you to build a better community. At OMF, you can expect to be treated like a neighbor. We offer our locally made, hand-built mattresses and box springs at a factory direct value because we know you deserve the best. Visit an OMF location today to experience the original Mattress Factory difference for yourself.
McQueen Building Company. It's about our people, but it's what others say about us that we really want you to hear.
It was a pleasure working with McQueen. Everything we agreed on in the contract was done and done to my satisfaction. I'll certainly have them for any future projects and have recommended them to friends.
Jeff works hard, is committed to success, and willing to go above and beyond in his zeal for the best outcome. I highly recommend Jeff, his work ethic, and his commitment to excellence.
McQueen Building Company. See our work for yourself at McQueenBuildingCompany.com.
No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. So no one, not even WhatsApp, can read your messages. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
This is Kathy Emmons. John and I are grateful for the encouragement we have from all of our advertisers, and especially our friends at Grove City College. Thanks to everyone at Grove City for supporting The Ride Home.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
On today's episode of America's Least Wanted, the home invaders most likely to threaten your family are not human. Cockroaches can spread salmonella and trigger asthma attacks. Termites destroy billions of dollars in property each year. And stinging insects send 500,000 people to emergency rooms. Learn how to protect your family. Arm yourself with the facts at pestworld.org. A public service announcement from the National Pest Management Association.
For tonight, it will turn cloudy with rain and snow showers towards dawn. Expect little to no accumulation, however. We'll see a low of 33. For tomorrow, periods of rain. Tomorrow will reach a high of 42. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies, the low 28. Cloudy skies for Thursday will reach a high Thursday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Oh, you see the news reports, you read the articles. We're just, more until night hearing about Ukraine. And it's very easy to want to curl up in a ball in the corner of your living room and say, you know what, I can't do anything. It's I'm overwhelmed by it. I don't want to hear another thing about it. But we have two people in the studio today who are going, who have already today, but for the rest of the hour, helping us enlarge our hearts and our minds for the people of Ukraine, and are going to give us concrete ways that we can actually help today. So we're happy you're along for the ride home. Jennifer and Alex Kyyashko are with us. Alex was born in Ukraine. And how long have you lived in the States, Alex?
Close to 20 years.
20 years, okay. Jen adopted Ukraine as her country before she decided to marry Alex. And so we're talking about their home country and adopted country. And so I want to hear, Alex, from you about how things have gone. The last 7 days, I'm sure, have been a blur for you. But talk about how easily you're communicating with your friends and relations there, and what you're hearing. What are the most recent news reports that you're getting from them?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, there was already some fire. Some rockets is being shot at my city a couple hours ago, where I've been born. But some of the cities are receiving much larger fire as Russia getting into preparation for what they're calling a second wave. And in one of the cities that I have a friend who's fighting right now on the front line, and he's been spending 3-4 days with no sleep and constantly fighting out there. So he's in the city of Kharkiv, and he reached out to me today. I finally got with him on the phone. So
he still has cell phone contact?
Yes, they do. Yeah. So all my family, we do have a cell phone contact. Yeah. So. And he reached out to me ask for some of the equipment that they need. So we're going to be working on start gathering actually money for to buy thermal vision and radio stations, Motorola radio station, and batteries for them as well.
How does that work, Alex? I mean, how do you purchase in the midst of a war zone?
Yeah, so we are still going to be working on the logistic part, which is we have right now friends who are working in Poland. So we are going to be getting together like a package, send it to them, and they will be transporting across the border. And there's trucks are going always from Poland to capital of Ukraine. So that's our hope. That's how we
envision it hopefully to happen.
Exactly.
So from the outside looking in, of course, which is what we're doing here in the United States, for years we've heard about the Russian fighting force and, the might of Mother Russia. It's surprising to see the might is not necessarily there, and the resolve of the Ukrainian people that the Russian soldiers don't want to be there. They're like complicit in this, but they don't want to have any part of this. Can you talk to us about that? About the surrender in some ways, and the Ukrainians' force of saying we will not surrender.
Yeah. Well, up to this point, Russia did not fight really many countries that could really resist them. So they created some of the local wars that they were trying to create, and then under peacemaker mask walked in and basically they never live. So as soon as they walked in as a peacemakers, they just never lived. Yeah. So like Pridnestrovia, which is like between Ukraine and Moldova, there is a spot between Abkhazia and Georgia, and they attacked Georgia. Before that, there was two Chechen wars where they basically were fighting against women and children, and they just never really fought anybody large and strong.
A worthy opponent.
Yes.
Okay, so today I hear the president saying Ukrainians are welcome to this country.
How bad things is going to be if they will not stand up. And that was beginning of me like, wow, I kind of start respecting you after years of not liking you. That's
a lightweight.
Yeah. So he was, and then right now he's doing a wonderful job, and I hope he's gonna. But I'm giving that credit to Ukrainian people who are in 2 years basically guided him towards this is the freedom looks like. Don't, because when he first time met with Putin and he said something along the way that I saw the peace in that man's eyes, Ukrainians came back to his office next day and they were like, what kind of peace did you see in his eyes? Real quickly. So he basically been trained by Ukrainian people, or not trained, but guided basically of where he needs to be. So I have a respect right now for, to the man.
Credit to him that he learned on the job.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay, we need to take a break. Much more to come. We're going to talk about the refugee crisis next in Ukraine, what it is that each one of us can do. Alex and Jennifer Kyyashko talking about Ukraine next. The Ride Home.
101.5 WORD.
Turning Point with David Jeremiah.
God sent a message to his people through Daniel in one of the strangest ways you can imagine. He gave a dream to a pagan king, and in that dream, he unfolded the future of the world.
Join Dr. David Jeremiah for his series, Signs, next time on Turning Point.
This evening at 7:30 on 101.5 WORD.
There are some decisions in life that just flat out determine whether the day will be good or bad. And one of those Mount Everest decisions for me is which ice cream to choose. How is a mere human able to walk into a tasty ice cream shop and choose from 7 perfect options? It's Ryan. And the reality is, deciding how to manage your mortgage is kind of similar. I had 2 radio listeners last month say, I've been wanting to know all the details of what a refinance or cash out refinance would look like for me, but I was embarrassed to ask and didn't want to feel pressured if I did. To which I say, we are a place that happily lets you taste test all the flavors. Guilt-free, no pressure, no judgment, and no follow-up unless you ask. It's very normal for us to provide what multiple refinance or cash out options would exactly look like and then let you decide, or even just walk out completely after the taste test. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Department of Banking. Mortgage Lender License number 22672.
Do you remember what was kept in a spring house? If you're an old timer, you know that a spring house was used for storing fresh, cold milk. In 84, Pennsylvania, we have another kind of spring house. Our spring house is an old-fashioned country store filled with all kinds of old-time gifts, great country foods, and you guessed it, fresh, cold milk. You see, the Spring House in 84 is also a dairy farm where we milk our own cows, pasteurize and homogenize the milk, and sell it all through the store. We've had people tell us it has to be some special kind of gourmet milk. We don't add anything to the cow's diet or to the milk. It's just nature's purest, most perfect food, and we love the way our customers love it. We also make a chocolate milk you would think is a chocolate shake, an old-fashioned buttermilk that people drive miles to get, and a 40% heavy cream that's wonderful for luscious desserts. Our 2% and our skim are the greatest sellers. Come and try some Springhouse milk at the Springhouse in 84.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Knodik and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
Alex and Jennifer Kyyashko with us. Alex, born and raised in Ukraine. Jennifer adopted the country as a young woman. They met and married in Ukraine and have been here for a couple decades in the U.S. In hourly contact with friends who are fighting over in Ukraine, so we're trying to get from them maybe a fuller picture, things that we didn't understand about the conflict. And so I want to make sure I ask you about refugees. The number I saw before I came into work today was 2 million people who've been displaced in just a week's time. No possible way to get your mind around that. No possible. I mean, the photographs of the train stations, I don't even know how to talk about it. So from your perspective, Alex, let me ask you, do you know some of the strategies that are being carried out to help with refugees? Do you know where they're going? Do you know anything the average person, John, me, someone listening to the broadcast now can do?
So since my mind was, mostly what's happening in, on the front line area, I do pay attention. Yeah, I do pay attention to what's happening right now on the border. I don't have right now any immediate contacts of how we can help refugees on the border.
Yeah, but maybe you can stay in contact with us over the next weeks as things unfold.
Absolutely,
please go ahead.
But I do know that it's first people who left. They were able to go across the border with no problems, and there was not such a huge line. But as
to Poland,
yes, to Poland. So there's many countries right now open the border. So we have Romania, we have Poland, and I guess I'm missing a few as well. Really people helping big time. We're talking about as soon as they come in, you will not see a person on at the train station. They've been looks like they're working really hard to place people in the place in houses in the hotels, but I also know that right now we have friends who are working really hard in the western part of Ukraine to place people in a safe zone of Ukraine as well.
Everybody has a place.
Away from
need a place.
Away from the active zone.
Yes, away, and they are working with schools. So at first, when they arrive, they might not have apartment for them to stay, so they would place them in gymnasiums of schools, and then they basically moving them to the houses, to the apartments, and maybe to the houses of people who left to Poland, and they just say, hey, you can use my apartment or something like that.
I see.
So
there's two separate things that are going on here. The fight itself, which is amazing, because you hear the stories of the Ukrainian government said any men from 16 to 60 who are in country, you stay in country and you fight, which is amazing to think about. Just regular people.
Yes.
All of a sudden they're
no training.
No training. They're handed a gun, and then there is some basic training, and then they go out and they face the Russian army. I mean, that's an incredible thing, isn't it? I'm sure your friends, you think about that as you talk to them, to think about their day-to-day existence and what it must be like for them.
Yeah. We do have some veterans who fought for 8 years, as I said, since 2014. So
battle-hardened.
Yes, they are, and they are amazing. They learn how to fight from day one. I mean, I remember pictures of our guys going to the front line fighting with Russians in 2014 wearing flip-flops.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were brave, and they got hard, and they fought a really good fight. And so those people retired, from the war, but they have no problems to pick up a gun and go back to the front line. And that's why we have such a strong, and it's actually one of those things why we have such a strong resistance and just the spirit of Ukrainians right now just to fight for their freedom.
And that's it. I mean, I think that's what's taking people by surprise. The spirit of the Ukrainian people is so beautiful and so massively strong that a lot of countries would say, yeah, we're not going to fight. We just surrender. We're done with this. But here, you're in it for the long haul because love of country. I mean, I was reading an article about there was a wedding, an impromptu wedding, and at the end of the wedding, instead of their celebration, they sang the Ukrainian national anthem.
Yes.
I love it so much.
Yes.
I mean, you could teach Americans love of country from that perspective.
Yes. Yeah, it's been inspiring.
Inspiring. It is indeed. So, Jennifer, talk to us about, as you straddle the United States and Ukraine, and especially from a faith perspective, you're a strong woman of faith. Your prayer life and your connections with other people in the prayer life as well, that encompasses many, many people doing good and great godly work.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and I think these are the times when, it just feels like your faith has to well up inside you.
This is it.
This is the time, right? Yeah. And so, we get to have conversations with our family in Ukraine. Also, people that I worked with in Youth with a Mission, Kyiv, have an opportunity to speak to them. And, it's really brought us together in many ways because our hearts just go out to them, just like everyone here. But to see it and hear it real time, what they're up against, the lack of sleep, in many cases, people leaving their homes with no clothing, like nothing, just literally the clothes on their back. They're no longer receiving any type of income. They're no longer receiving paychecks. So just to see people and what they're up against and really how they've risen to the occasion to help other people, even in their need, they're going out of their way to help other people and making sure people find a home or find a place to stay or a little spot in a gymnasium or whatever it is to be safe. But I really think, these are the times when we see and we feel our faith rise up, and I think it helps us get through, right? I think it really helps us get through.
You're taking action.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, as people think right now, what can I do? Because so many people have asked, what can I do? And people are donating and like have an incredible giving spirit. We've seen donations come to us, and what we've done is take that money and send it directly to Ukrainian families, directly. Not once, every single cent goes to these families. And, that's what we want to do. And for people who can give and want to give, I think that's amazing. For everyone else, I think for us to join together and just be continually praying and showing that country, showing the people that we do support them, that we stand with them in these times, I think is incredible because Ukraine is, I think they're really feeling that love. I do. I think they're feeling that support, and I hope they are, because, we are flooding.
It's very real.
Yes. We're flooding heaven. We're flooding anything we can, social media, whatever it is, to show that love and support that we are standing united with them.
Yes. I mean, that is really, truly the silver lining in the heinousness of this war. You see the flip side, which is the beauty of the Ukrainian people and everybody wanting to come around that. It lifts us all up in some way.
And you're right. It's hard to imagine that Americans right now, as divided as we are, could come together on something, but it's actually happened.
Right.
I can't believe it. Alex, let me ask you this. And this is going to have to be a relatively short answer on your part because of time, but I just need to say that this conflict didn't come out of nowhere. This has been a long history between Ukraine and Russia. So from your perspective, what is it that we don't realize here in America? The things that maybe about your history in Ukraine that we don't get, that might help us to better understand this conflict?
So I've been as many my friends know me since 2014. I was trying to relate that explain to everyone. And I definitely can see the hardness of the subject, and really it's hard to understand why, but it's a cultural, a lot of things is a cultural, a lot of things I truly believe that how we live life and how Russia lives life is completely different. I'm talking about as Ukrainians, although there is a lot of intertwine, but it's two different mentalities. Although President Putin said that we are the same, we are not the same. Absolutely not.
What are the different mentalities?
There's many of them. One of them is fight for freedom. I truly believe that Russia is not able to fight for freedom. They have only fight for food. If their refrigerator will get empty, that's when they're going to be walking out on the street. Ukrainians, you don't need to have empty refrigerator to walk out on the street and do that. And they prove that in so many different times, not only in 2014, but 2014 was the big scary moment for Russia, because they saw that Ukraine taking a strive towards Europe, and they want to be in civil. They don't want to have that Soviet, good days of Soviet Union when you can buy, ice cream for 25 cents. We don't need that. We need to live free. We need to actually talk to people and live with rest of the world, not just buckle up with 2-3 countries that still believe in Soviet Union.
Right. Jennifer, Alex.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, it's been our honor to have you here with us in studio to peel back these layers and give us some personal insight to who you are as men and women, and to see Ukraine. This is a very difficult time, but we have total confidence, as I'm sure you do, Alex and Jennifer, that Ukraine will prevail.
Yes.
Yeah,
and please know that you have friends who pray for you and for your country.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'll take a short break and reset here in just a few minutes. You're listening to Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. This is 101.5 Word FM. It's WORD.
When it's time to replace your roof, siding, gutters, and downspouts, entry doors, and, of course, windows, you can count on Windows R Us, the area's premier exterior replacement company. This is John Steigerwald. With over 50 years' experience in the home remodeling industry, Windows R Us offers repair and replacement for all your exterior home projects. Why pay double with some other companies? Windows R Us will always give you the best price on the best in-class products, backed by the best warranties in the industry, all with zero sales pressure. And speaking of zero, right now get zero interest financing for 12 months and no processing fee, with prices set to increase on all exterior products. Lock in your quote today. Schedule a free estimate at WindowsRUsPittsburgh.com. Find them at the Pittsburgh Home Show now through Sunday. You've tried the rest, now try the best. WindowsRUsPittsburgh.com.
Windows R Us. You've tried the rest, now try the best. Hi, I'm Al Abaroa, founder of Knight Strategic Wealth. Inflation is picking up, markets are volatile, and the dream of a comfortable retirement is harder to attain than ever before. Nobody wants to run out of money in retirement. That's why I'm going to share something that your financial advisor doesn't want you to know. With our investment strategy, when the stock market goes up, you earn a market-linked return that locks in every year. And when the stock market goes down, your investments won't lose a dime. There are no unnecessary fees, and it works for your investments, money to brokerage firm, or even money at a bank. It's simple, it's safe, and that's why savvy investors work with us. Want to learn more? Text free to 833-898-0500 and we'll send our retirement readiness kit directly to your phone right now. If you want to help build a retirement portfolio that will go up with the market and never lose money, get our retirement readiness kit today and see how this strategy can help secure your future. Text free to 833-898-0500. Text free to 833-898-0500.
Where can you find a high-quality, locally hand-built mattress at a factory direct value? Only here at the Original Mattress Factory. Our factory direct business model allows us to provide a better quality mattress at a better price when compared to mainstream mattress brands. That's because we manufacture our mattresses in our local factories and sell them directly to you, eliminating the middleman markup and saving you money. And we can provide fast local delivery as well as pickup 7 days a week at our factory location. Visit an Original Mattress Factory location near you.
Did you know that when you buy a mattress from a retail store, that mattress is being sold for the second time? What do I mean? Well, the manufacturer sells the mattress to the retailer, who in turn sells it to you with costs and markups for both parties. This is Greg Trzynski, and at the Original Mattress Factory, we have our own factory right here at our store. So the mattress you buy is being sold for the first and only time. That's why our prices are hundreds less than the mainstream brands. Visit originalmattress.com to learn more.
You can read newspapers and watch television, but I think until, obviously, we've just seen that, heard that, until you encounter Ukrainians face to face, you do not understand the depths of their resolve and their heartbreak and how those two intermingle here. To talk to Alex and to think about his mother and his sister in Ukraine and all of his friends that are left behind and their spirit and willingness to be there. I just love it so much, and I truly believe, like we said on air, that they will not be deterred, that Ukraine will be victorious in the end.
It is just, I don't know, it's one of those moments that it's funny that you're living through, because a lot of these heroic moments that we've seen, especially in Eastern Europe, are things that we've read about in textbooks.
Exactly. It feels like history.
Right. It feels like history. And this is history unfolding in front of us. And so just to try to imagine, what people are going to be learning about 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when they look back on the Ukrainians of today.
And it's impossible not to place yourself in that position. You see and hear Alex's story and you think, if that was I, how would I respond? If I was in that position, what would that be like? So this goes without saying, of course, that our prayers are acutely, moment to moment, with Ukrainian people, and especially to humanize it, to think about them here in Pittsburgh and the far reaches beyond.
And with every Russian person who's resisting.
Yes.
Because we know that there are many, many Russian people who do not believe in this aggression and are resisting on their own, and we pray for their strength and peace as well.
That. And so undoubtedly, as evil comes our way, we consume that and turn it into prayer and peace backwards into that direction. As always, we appreciate your time here with us. That's the 4 o'clock hour, the ride home. Stay with us. Much more ahead during the 5 o'clock hour.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott.
Сотні і сотні тисяч людей у містах на грані між життям і смертю. Буквально.
In a video address from an undisclosed location, Ukrainian President Zelensky pleading again with Western countries to provide air support. Meanwhile, as the war rages on, President Biden is cracking down harder on Moscow.
We're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas and energy.
The president's announcement came following bipartisan pressure in Congress to ban Russian oil imports. He declared that America will not be part of subsidizing Vladimir Putin's war. Mr. Biden also said,
defending freedom is going to cost. It's going to cost us as well in the United States.
He bluntly said the soaring price of gasoline will go up further because of the ban. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And on Wall Street, the Dow had 200 points, the Nasdaq up 130. This is SRN News.
Windows are us. You've tried the rest, now try the best. Your premier exterior replacement company. Windows, siding, roofing, and doors. No compromise on quality, transforming homes and so much more. Windows are us. Pittsburgh.com. Windows are us. You've tried the rest, now try the best.
If you can fix the big stuff, you can fix the small stuff. For over 100 years, QDOT has fixed big mechanical systems for the commercial industry, from hospitals and factories to churches and schools. You deserve to be treated fairly when it comes to your home's HVAC system. QDOT can solve any mechanical challenge, big or small. For affordable repairs, replacement, and maintenance, QDOT answers 24/7, 365. And your safety is their top priority. Call 412-366-6200 at q-dot.com.
In the Bible, Jesus says when we care for the least of these, it's like we're caring for him. But who are the least of these? They're moms, like Mirna from Guatemala, who fights every day just to keep her children fed.
Right now, they are hungry. They want food, and we don't have money enough to get to the whole week.
COVID-19 has left the world's poorest families on the brink of starvation. Throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, the basics of food and access to clean water are a daily struggle.
Living is really hard. I only get food when other people give me food.
When you partner with Food for the Poor, you answer the desperate prayers of moms and kids. Your gift of $175 will provide food for a year and water for life for 2 suffering children. Just pennies a day gives food and water, hope and life. Please, give life now. Call 855-828-4673, 855-828-4673, or click the red Give Life banner at wordfm.com.
Got questions? Cornerstone TV has answers for today's hot topics and your burning questions on faith, family, and more. Hope happens here.
No prayer that has begun in heaven is ever rejected when it gets back. It sounds like I'm the only one that got it right up here.
Hang out with our Hard Questions team, Thursdays 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Cornerstone Television Network.
To serve as a ruling elder is a high and holy office. RPTS now offers 5 flexible online courses to help you shepherd the Church of God. The Ruling Elders program features courses on biblical counseling, interpretation, worship, the church, care and administration, plus preaching at elective options that best fit your ministry paradigm. No papers, no exams, just solid biblical teaching from experienced pastor professors. Individual and group rates available. RPTS, Study Under Pastors. Learn more at rpts.edu.
For tonight, it will turn cloudy with rain and snow showers towards dawn. Expect little to no accumulation, however. We'll see a low of 33. For tomorrow, periods of rain. Tomorrow will reach a high of 42. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies, the low 28. Cloudy skies for Thursday will reach a high Thursday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Can get completely consumed by things that you can do nothing about, that are completely on the other side of the globe.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that those things aren't important. It just means that it seems very immediate to us, even though we're so far away. And then when something happens right next door to us that is immediate, that we can do something about, we don't have anything left.
Right. I mean, they talk about, Vietnam being the first televised war. This is the first, and of course there have been many wars, and we've seen that since 9/11, but this is the first large-scale war that is of the internet age, right? I mean, people are tweeting in real time as they are being attacked. You see atrocities happening live on video from, different platforms.
I'm finding it difficult on social media, John, to, there's no way to figure out whether what you're seeing is accurate or not, or whether it's timely or not. I think you have to go through a little bit of a process of figuring out what people you're going to follow and whether you trust them or not.
Right.
Because otherwise you can just go down a hole of just seeing all sorts of stuff and not knowing if
Exactly. I mean, it was like, remember we talked to Chris Martin last week.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time, and he talked about that, about how do you curate reliable sources no matter what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those times. It's kind of like, this is new for us, so we reinvent the wheel and try to find those people and those places, whether it's Ukraine's in country or some state-sponsored, whatever. Everyone's kind of searching for, as always, the truth. And what is the truth?
Right. Well, we're going to actually go to the border of Poland and Ukraine in just a couple of minutes because our friend Father Jason Charron just back from that border. He took a surprise trip last Friday, and he's back in the U.S., and we're eager to talk to him about what he saw, what it was like there, how people at his at Holy Trinity Ukrainian Catholic Church in Carnegie are faring, and what their relationship is with people who are overseas fighting.
That's right. We'll take a quick break. As always, your presence here is so welcome. We're diving deeper into a situation that is far from us, but very close to our hearts. Stay with us. It's The Ride Home, Pittsburgh's Christian Talk.
101.5 WORD.
Regardless of your job, your bank balance, and even some reckless things you've done in life, do you believe that you can make a difference in your community? Well, this week on Through the Bible, we've met a broken, beat-up girl who introduced her whole town to Jesus. Hop aboard as the Bible Bus continues its trip through the Gospel of John.
Through the Bible, this evening at 9 p.m. on 101.5 WORD.
Why Doing It Right Roofing, Siding, Remodeling? It's simple. It's in their name.
Doing It Right uses only top quality materials and employs only experienced installation and management people to install and oversee your project.
Family owned and operated for 38 years, and with over 45 years of industry experience, you can be confident that your project will be installed the correct way.
Doing It Right does business honestly, taking no money down and collecting balance upon completion.
You will receive a lifetime labor warranty from Doing It Right.
Doing It Right does all work to manufacturers, National Roofing Contractors Association, and Vinyl Siding Institute guidelines and specifications for a complete and headache-free installation.
Doing It Right is an Owens Corning Platinum contractor and James Hardy preferred contractor.
Most importantly, they're affordable, offering great financing options and accepting all major credit cards.
Be sure to mention John and Kathy for a discount off your roofing, siding, and remodeling estimates.
Call 724-NEW-ROOF or find them at roofingcontractorpittsburgh.com. Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He created the Giza Dream Bed Sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for you. Hey, this is John Hall. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza, and his latest incredible deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you'll receive 60% off the Giza Dream Sheets that come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. You'll receive a set for as low as $39.99, and for a limited time with any purchase, you'll receive Mike's softcover book free when you use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, and use promo code WORD. Along with this offer, you'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. Call 1-800-391-0954, use the promo code WORD, or visit MyPillow.com, use the promo code WORD.
What is a warrior? At Portersville Christian School, it's more than a team name. A warrior is taught to serve, to passionately model the love of Christ toward neighbor, community, and world, to learn as they cultivate academic excellence and a lifelong love of learning from kindergarten to senior year, and to lead through Christian character and integrity. Are you a warrior? Discover Portersville Christian School just 15 minutes north of Cranberry, where warriors are made, at ourpcs.org.
Father Jason Charron is with us. Father Charron's been a regular guest of ours, a friend of ours for many, many years here in the Ride Home. And he has a story to tell. Just back from Ukraine, spent a little over a week there. And I want to hear the story. So, Jason, above all, it is just fascinating and fabulous to see you.
We're so glad to see you.
We are.
Seriously. Okay, no, wait. Let me break in and say that you were on our show on Friday, I believe, and you were talking to us via phone. This was 2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago. Okay, I know you don't remember back that far. But
you were in studio once and then on phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
you were. Anyway, as you were on the phone, I don't know if you remember this, but you said, "You guys, I'm really sorry." You were kind of getting your words confused, and you said, "I'm sorry, I'm just really nervous."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's funny because he's been on the show like 50 times. I wonder why he's nervous. Not having any idea what you were planning at that point, and of course, we didn't find that out for several days. So talk about exactly what you were planning.
Right. So I didn't tell you at the time, but as I was talking to you, I was also planning this trip to Ukraine, and it was the day after or the day of the attack and the initial attack, and so there were a lot of variables, a lot of moving parts, and we didn't know how we'd get out. But what happened is that
How you'd get out of the country?
Get out of Ukraine.
Okay.
You know, so there's just a lot of moving parts, and what the background is that Alan Sherwood, parishioner of mine, great guy, businessman here in Pittsburgh. Around Christmas time, he and his wife hosted an orphan from Ukraine, just to give her an experience of Christmas in America, and so they really fell in love with this little girl. And Alan mentioned to her, like the night before she returned back, she was with them for about 5 weeks, I think. And he mentioned to her, you know, Karina, if anything bad ever happens over there, I'll come and rescue you. Well, little did he know that a few months later, Russia would invade. And so he gets news, I think it was a Thursday, that the invasion had happened. And then it strikes him that he made this promise to a little orphan girl, a little girl who's used to people not fulfilling their promises.
How old is Karina?
She was 8 or 9. Yeah, 9. I think 9. And just cute as a button. And so he comes to me and says, I have to go. I have to go. He doesn't know the language. He doesn't know the landscape. He doesn't know anybody there. But he has to go.
And the invasion's underway.
Yeah, the invasion's underway. So I say, Alan, okay, here's what you have to do. Here's the checklist. I'd like to go with you, but I've got this. I've got 7 children. I've got 2 parishes, and then I realize, yeah, but this little girl has no one, and there are lots of little girls like that in Ukraine, little boys. So I went out of the room and I went to my wife and I said, Helena, here's the situation, and she said, you have my permission to go. And I called my bishop, and my bishop said, go. And so I said, Alan, let's do this. And that night, I think, and I can't remember now if it was Thursday or if it was just all a blur. But that night we left for Helsinki to Poland, and then we took 2 taxis from Poland, from Warsaw down to Lublin to the border.
You took a taxi to the Ukrainian border.
Yeah, you could not rent cars.
Is that right?
They had a ban on cars going towards the border. It was impossible. There were about 7 or 8 in the Warsaw International Airport. There were about 7 or 8 different car rental agencies, and they had a complete ban on cars going anywhere near the Ukrainian border. So we took taxis.
What did you say to the taxi driver? Take me to the border, and he said okay?
Yeah. The first one, it was a long drive. So we went, to Lublin, which is about a 3.5 hour taxi ride.
Oh my gosh!
And it cost all of about $18 or something.
Oh my gosh!
And no, it was a little more than that. But we slept over there, and then we went the next morning. Went to liturgy, and then we went to the border with a taxi. And this guy was amazing. He. Like so many of the Poles, and Poles and Ukrainians historically have not been close friends. They've had some really horrible history, as bad as the history is right now between Russia and Ukraine. That was the history between Ukraine and Poland for many, many years. And you go to Poland. I don't know how many tears I cried during that time of seeing these Poles just carrying Ukrainian flags around on their cars, on their buses, the newsmen having the Ukrainian flag on their lapel everywhere.
Really?
And they're just rooting for, and they're opening up their homes for Ukrainians. They can travel anywhere in Poland for free. on the train systems. No one's taking any money from the Ukrainians. It's a law that if you're Ukrainian, you get a free train ride.
My enemy is your enemy.
Yeah, well, but I mean, these Poles, they really, it's more than that. They feel because they know what it's like to be oppressed, and
invaded.
Yeah, so we eventually made it to the border, and the taxi driver was just so awesome. He wanted to help, and he wasn't allowed to go into Ukraine, but with his car, and we just made the sign of the cross. And we told them, wait around for 20 minutes or so, and maybe they won't let us in. And we just walked, and it was like a scene from The Walking Dead, that TV show from years ago. And when Rick Grimes is walking into Atlanta, and all these like miles and miles and miles of cars are leaving it. And he's walking in, the whole side of the road is completely open, and that's what it was. Is you walk into Ukraine, and it was just completely open. And I've been in and out of Ukraine many times in the past 24 years, and it's always a hassle getting in. And this time it was nothing. I just showed my passport. They stamped it. Didn't even look at my face, and I went, and we walked across.
No restrictions whatsoever. You went right in.
Yep.
So you walk into Ukraine, and you're single-minded in looking for this little girl. You knew where the orphanage was. What was it like to find your way from the border into the orphanage? How far away was that?
Well, the sad thing is that the orphanage is quite far from the border. It's halfway across the country, and just outside of Kiev. And the director of the orphanage is a wonderful man. He's a Baptist, and all Baptists are wonderful people, right? So, and he's just an absolutely wonderful, God-fearing man, and he takes care of 22 orphans. 22. Yeah, that's his full-time job. And he I think he was a little hesitant. We were calling him ahead of time, leave. And you just, what do you do when you pick up 22 orphans? Where do you go? It's not you can stay on someone's porch,
Right.
So
go to the Holiday Inn.
He tried staying as long as he could, and then so the night before we crossed into the border, I called him and I said, "We're here," and he said, "Okay," and he loaded up 26 people, because there are 22 orphans and his daughter and grandson and one other person, and they put 26 people into a 15-passenger van, and they drove 8.5 hours through war-torn Ukraine to get to our rendezvous point.
Oh my gosh, Jason!
Yeah, that was just the start of it, though.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, so then you meet, and does he literally trust you and say, "I'm handing over these children to you"?
He was hesitant, and right
for good reason.
So, yeah, these are they're not his kids, but they're his kids,
of course.
And he's a grizzly bear of a guy. He doesn't want anything to happen to them. And we had talked over the phone, and but that was really it, And anyone who is familiar with orphanages in Ukraine has to be cognizant of the horror of child trafficking, and so I could tell he was sizing us up, and rightfully so. I'd be afraid if he just here they are.
Here's my babies.
Yeah. So we met with him, and then we went to the attorney to do paperwork to make sure that he was giving Alan authority to to take care of these kids once they get outside of the country.
So you're agreeing at this point to take all 22 kids?
Yeah. So we were going to take them to safety, take them across the border.
And to where?
Well, we had a plane ready on standby to take them here to the U.S., but it all fell apart.
Okay, so initially it was one child that a promise was made to. It turned into 22 children in the hopes that you would come back to the United States, but none of that happened.
Right. So he said, listen, I can't just let one of these babies go.
They all have to go.
They all have to go.
Okay.
Because they're siblings. A lot of them are siblings. So they're like 22 kids. He had guardianship over 21 of them. And but of the 21, there were like 4 families in there.
Oh.
So you can't just take one and leave the rest. So he said, it's all or nothing. And anyhow, in the haze of war, because there was a Russian bomb dropped 4 kilometers from their front door on a Ukrainian gas line, and it lit up the whole night sky. And he showed it to me on the phone, and I looked and I read about the report actually on the way in, and I knew where it was. And I knew it was near the orphanage. I didn't know it was that close to it. And then the day the thing that really made them leave was Russian fighter jet went right over the roof of the orphanage, so that was the sign to get out of Dodge. So yeah, we met him in Lviv, the western part of Ukraine. It's a cultural center of Ukraine, and then it all came out that in the rush to get out away from the Russians, they're rushing away from the Russians, is that they didn't have any of the passports.
The children didn't.
Yeah, no, they had clothes on their back. Some of them had birth certificates,
but limited paperwork.
Yeah. And so now this is getting more complicated at this point. They're alive, and they've driven through all these military checkpoints and everything.
But you have control of these children to some degree, legal or not. Well, there they are in front of you.
Well, he's their legal guardian, and
Alex. Alex, or the man who runs the orphanage?
The man who runs the orphanage. He's their legal guardian.
And was he with you at this point?
And he was with us at this point.
Okay.
So anyhow, we signed papers saying, if they get outside of the country, he's going to let Alan have this, a trust. And so we sleep overnight. I arranged a place at a seminary where I used to teach 23 years ago. Who would have thought? And we get up and the next morning, and we go to the border. So we drive. We get a bus. And by this time, more people, young families joined in. So we had a bus of like 43 people on this bus. And we drive. We decided not to go into Poland because the line up there and some of the crossings was 4 days long.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Right?
Oh, yeah, 4 days long.
Oh, my gosh.
I met one guy, and I don't know if he's telling me the truth or not, but he was from Nepal, and he had to just get out of Ukraine. And he said he was standing there for 6 days. I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know how you stay outside for 6 days, but that's what he told me.
Jason, I'm sorry. How fluent are you in Ukrainian?
I'm fluent.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. So that was the blessing. Right? Fabulous.
So we decided we can't take 43 people and risk them sitting at the border for
4 days.
Indeterminate.
Right.
So we go down to Slovakia, and that means going through the Carpathian Mountains with these hairpin turns, and but it's there are checkpoints. And, every checkpoint they stop you to look at your passports and all this stuff. And
who are these kids?
Yeah. So it was the same story every time. And, so that was a 7.5 hour drive. And then we get into Slovakia, and we're getting there, and I realize that, I'm responsible for all these 43 people, and we're not going to have a place to stay. So I call in a favor to Father Valerian here in Upper St. Clair, and he's the most connected priest in the world. So I call him from the hills and Carpathian Mountains, and I say, we need a place for 43 people to sleep tonight. 22 of them are orphans. And he says, give me 1 hour.
No.
Yep. And he calls me back in 30 minutes and says, 43 people, right? I said, yes. You've got a place.
Fabulous. That's connections.
That's the Church of the Living God.
That's incredible.
And so those the priests he knew there, they scrambled, they turned earth upside down, and I noticed in the message that he sent to me is like, it's in this one city, and it said Czech Republic, and I thought probably it's a typo. And I get to the border, and they had a bus ready for us. They had meals ready for us. They had, a change of socks and blankets ready for us. And they said, now here's the bus, because there were lots of people at the border. And I say, how long is the bus? Well, it's an 8.5 hour bus ride through the night, because there was no place in the inn. It was just
full.
So we had to drive 8 hours to this, and he got us a 4-star hotel in another country. So we drove through Slovakia in the middle of the night to Czech Republic. And these kids, for the first time in their lives, saw a 4-star hotel. And
was there a swimming pool?
No, but it was really nice. And they thought that it was paradise.
Of course,
So that was really fabulous. Beautiful. And the beautiful thing is, this businessman who owns it, he had the manager go to. It's a hotel for business clients.
I see.
Of the neighboring factory. And he had the manager go to all the clients of the hotel saying, listen, we're hosting these 43 people, 22 of them are orphans, and we're giving them these 2 floors of the hotel. It was a small hotel, but really nice, and giving them a heads up. So if you aren't comfortable, you should leave. And every one of them said, not only are we happy that you're doing this, but that makes us want to come back even more that you would do this. And these clients who were there for business meetings and whatnot, they went out and bought all kinds of things for the kids, and just spoiled them, So Romanians, Poles, Hungarians, they just, showered them with love.
People are amazing.
And they wouldn't. And then at the end, Alan sponsored sponsored this so much, and he wanted to pay the hotel owner for putting them up, and the man was deeply offended. He did not want to take any money for this. So
was that one night or 2?
I think they ended up staying there 3 nights. I think they stayed 3 nights. I left. It got a little more complicated at this point because we wanted to go to the nearest the nearest Ukrainian embassy, which was in across the border in Poland. So then next day we go up to Poland, and we met with the Ukrainian ambassador
to talk about some sort of visa for these kids.
Yeah, and because this is kind of sketchy. 22 orphans, they don't have passports, and
who are you guys?
Yeah, who are you guys? And the ambassador kind of broke our hearts, but he was honest and upfront. He said, "Listen, I know you guys are trying to help, and I don't have any suspicion of you guys, but this isn't going to fly. So you're just going to, it's a war. Let them stay in the area here, find a neighboring country, get them their paperwork, and then, after they get paperwork, it's not going to be a problem if the U.S. government wants to give them a visa, to give them a visa. But you don't want to risk some really big issues.
I mean, you did yeoman's work in the interim to get those kids out of there, right?
And that's why we went. That was the main reason we went, was just to get them to safety.
So the 22 kids, but what about the party around them? You said 40, how many?
43, yeah.
43, and they're with you the entire time as well?
Yes, so they were like, there's martial law, so men between the ages of 18 and 60 cannot leave the country. So the women and children can leave. And so it was an emotional scene. These some of these men were priests, and they have to stay back. And we got to the bus, and they said goodbye to their wives and their kids. It was hard to watch that.
The men went back, and the
men went back,
and the kids stayed.
And so they came with us, and so we're. They're still in Czech Republic, and they're trying to decide what to do. And I think they'll end up here, hopefully. As for the orphans, until they get their paperwork sorted out, they're in Lithuania.
I see.
So they went on to Lithuania because their guardian of the orphanage has family there. And all things being equal, in a time like this, you want to be near family. So,
of course, right.
So he took the kids. They're staying in Lithuania, getting their paperwork regularized. And in the meantime, we've done fundraising to sponsor them in terms of any of their needs. So Alan, just without Alan, none of this would have happened.
Alan Sherwood.
He was just the driving force behind this. And but in the meantime, we've done fundraising. People in Pittsburgh this is a city of champions. I'm not speaking about athletics. I'm speaking about spiritual victory, and people have come out of the woodwork, and just unbelievable support. So we're in the meantime, we'll be sending a lot of this money to these orphans in Lithuania until things are regularized.
And so best case of best case, these kids were orphans, but you're saying in some way they reconnected with relatives, distant or not. So the fact is they probably won't leave?
Oh, no. The director of the orphanage, he has his son-in-law.
I see.
And daughter, one of his daughters, live in Lithuania. So he took the whole group there, and just to get things stabilized and to figure out what's the best choice for these kids.
I
but
see.
None of those kids have family in Lithuania.
Truly orphans.
Yeah, and they were supported by the Ukrainian government, but now that he's outside of the country, he's dependent on the charity of others. So that's what our we're hoping to do.
I see. Well, that's a heck of a story. We need to take a quick break.
Let's step aside.
Father Jason Charron.
Yeah, Jason will join us in the next portion of our show, so stay with us on the ride home. It's a Tuesday edition. There is a lot going on. Jason, again, glad you're back in the States.
Thank you.
God is good.
The story goes on.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-343-8638. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-343-8638. 800-343-8638. 800-343-8638.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He created the Giza Dream Bed Sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for you. Hey, this is John Hall. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza, and his latest incredible deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you'll receive 60% off the Giza Dream Sheets that come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. You'll receive a set for as low as $39.99, and for a limited time with any purchase, you'll receive Mike's softcover book free when you use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, and use promo code WORD. Along with this offer, you'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. Call 1-800-391-0954, use the promo code WORD, or visit MyPillow.com, use the promo code WORD.
This is Tim Seckler inviting you to tune in each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy Show, sponsored by my law firm, the Seckler Law Firm. Each week, we'll talk about your family's well-being as it relates to elder law, nursing home stays, estate planning, and keeping your hard-earned savings. And if you missed the Life and Legacy Show, you will find it archived at SecklerLawFirm.com. See you Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy Show.
We are everywhere. On your radio at 101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
For tonight, it will turn cloudy with rain and snow showers towards dawn. Expect little to no accumulation, however. We'll see a low of 33. For tomorrow, periods of rain. Tomorrow will reach a high of 42. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies, the low 28. Cloudy skies for Thursday will reach a high Thursday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
We're talking with Father Jason Charron. He's telling us a story, his journey over the last week or so, where he went in with a friend, Alan Sherwood, and they were looking to rescue a little Ukrainian orphan girl and found themselves in the midst of 22 Ukrainian orphan kids, along with a party of some 40 people who were support. Jason, in that journey, just you counted down the number of countries you were in. Do that for us here on air.
Yeah, so in the few days that I had been gone, we were in Finland, connecting flights and whatnot, long layovers.
Here you go.
Whatnot, but
Connect
Finland,
the dots.
Poland twice, Ukraine, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Germany, and Newark, New Jersey, which is its own. That airport is its own.
It's its own country.
Oh, I've been
There's
to Newark.
no question about it.
I know Newark.
we all know Newark. Jason, I want to ask you about that moment when you were crossing from Poland into Ukraine at first. And of course, there's a unbelievable backup that I've seen photographs and video of people trying to get out of the country.
The Ukrainians, God bless
You're
them.
trying to get in.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when you thought, if I get in, how am I ever going to get out?
Yeah, that was my constant thought. Those initially just crossing the border, and I could look past this fence, and then I saw this endless line of cars, and I just thought, well, you do the good that's before you, and you leave the uncertainty into the hands of God. But I didn't know how we were gonna get out, and I called someone who I knew from 20 years ago, and he knew how we could do it with a large group, and that's what we were able to do. And the secret was finding a bus. That was the key. The lineup is very long for cars, but if you can manage to get a bus filled with people, then the buses are allowed to go in this express lane, right up to the front, and there's a lineup of people who've walked in. But it's it's not that deep. You might have to wait, worst case scenario, 4 hours, and so that's what we were able to do. But it was tough getting a bus, because everyone had been finding out about this trick, of
the bus,
getting the bus to get into the pedestrian line. And so that's how we did it.
And I mean, this is the ultimate case of the haves and the have-nots. It had to break your heart. I mean, by the grace of God, there you had a bus and transportation, and you look out the window, and there are, thousands and thousands of Ukrainian men, women, and children streaming across the border looking for some measure of safety.
Yeah.
How difficult is that? Must have been to swallow.
Yeah, you want to take them all, but in trying to take them all, you'll take none. And our mission was for these 22 orphans, and without us, that it would have been impossible.
Right. So what about that? I'm glad you told me here you speak fluent Ukrainian. Conversations with these kids, what were they revealing? How were they? What was their
state of mind?
Yes.
Kids are icons of, in one sense, God's pure love. Here they are, orphans, living in a home with, so many others, crammed like sardines on a 15-passenger van for 8.5 hours, and then another 7 hours, and then another 8-hour drive. And they're just so grateful, bubbling over like a spring with joy, and playing games and laughing and giggling. And they just had nothing but gratitude and joy. And it was I was expecting to see something else, So that's all I can report is just this bursting joy, and maybe it's just because they were away from that the horror of the bomb that they
Isn't
saw.
that interesting?
But leaving behind their country and all that they've ever known to an unknown destination.
Yeah. They had never. Most of them had never been outside of the country before.
I'm sure.
Some of them had been in the States, visiting host families for Christmas and whatnot. But they were just filled with gratitude.
And Jesus said, if you don't become like one of them, if you don't become like that, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
And there you see it in front of you.
Wow.
Yeah, just pure. They just receive gifts with such gratitude, and when people are more cynical and older, they receive a gift, but they're kind of, oh, what is this, and why are you giving it to me? But with kids, it's just like, wow. Pure receptivity. And but one of the interesting things when I was going into Ukraine, this caught my eye, that there was this young woman walking into Ukraine with us. So you have Alan and myself, and I'm thinking, you're the only young woman walking into Ukraine.
Wait, that video?
Yeah.
Liesl?
Yes.
When we come back, we'll play the audio from that video because it's amazing. When we also come back, I need to talk about God in the midst of this because, Jason, we connected, and I'm sure you talked about Pittsburgh. How many people
we prayed for you, man.
Praying for you and your safety and all that, to think of God in the midst of all this. The Ukrainian people, God bless them and their hearts, and it's just so much to bear. We'll take a quick break and come back. Right. Father Jason Charron joins us. Holy Trinity Ukrainian Catholic Church here in the city of Pittsburgh. We'll be right back.
101.5 WORD.
Coming up on Love Worth Finding.
Are you facing a test of your faith?
Tests come in two kinds. The devil tempts us to do evil to cause us to stumble. God tests us to cause us to stand. What God wants to do is to make our faith strong and pure.
Join us for more of Adrian Rogers' series, Champions of Faith, this month on Love Worth Finding.
Tonight at 11 on 101.5 WORD.
In the Bible, Jesus says when we care for the least of these, it's like we're caring for him. But who are the least of these? They're moms, like Mirna from Guatemala, who fights every day just to keep her children fed.
Right now, they are hungry. They want food, and we don't have money enough to get to the whole week.
COVID-19 has left the world's poorest families on the brink of starvation. Throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, the basics of food and access to clean water are a daily struggle.
Living is really hard. I only get food when other people give me food.
When you partner with Food for the Poor, you answer the desperate prayers of moms and kids. Your gift of $175 will provide food for a year and water for life for 2 suffering children. Just pennies a day gives food and water, hope and life. Please, give life now. Call 855-828-4673, 855-828-4673, or click the red Give Life banner at wordfm.com.
For over 40 years, First Baptist Christian School of Butler has quietly offered parents one of the most affordable, high-quality Christian educations around. A complete education from pre-K through 12th grade with free busing, smaller classes, an extremely high teacher-student ratio, competitive athletics, and SAT scores well above the national average. Think an affordable Christian education is beyond your reach? Think again. First Baptist Christian School of Butler at butlerfbcs.com.
It's a very common fear to have a fear of the dentist.
There's a reason patients love Dr. Megan Stock, voted Pittsburgh Trib's best of the best dentist in Northern Allegheny County for the 2nd year in a row.
I feel particularly drawn to making sure that all patients are at ease, that extra gentle touch, the extra nudge to tell them it's okay, we'll get through this together.
Exceptional dentistry meets compassionate care. Stock Family Dentistry, Perry Highway in Wexford, at stockfamilydentistry.com. We've all been thinking a lot lately about the air we breathe. QDOT has been thinking about it for over 100 years, providing big HVAC solutions for the commercial industry, including healthcare, where air quality is paramount. Does your home deserve any less? For affordable solutions, including their new bipolar ionizer, which may eliminate up to 99.4% of airborne viruses, including SARS-CoV-2. Breathe easier with QDOT. Call 412-366-6200 or visit q-dot.com.
Talking about Ukrainian orphans, the war, of course, God's sovereignty on the throne, all that with Father Jason Charron, Holy Trinity Catholic Ukrainian Church in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Jason, just as we were leaving our last segment, you talked about going back into Ukraine, going into Ukraine for the first time. And of course, we've seen the images, the videos, the photographs of the thousands and thousands, of 2 million people, refugees on the move, the largest movement of refugees since World War II. But as you're going in, there's a young woman also going in.
Right.
And you spoke to her.
Yes.
Tell us the story.
Well, I want all your listeners, John and Kathy, to know about Lisa. Because people have been, Russian propaganda has been telling people this is, war to protect Russian speakers and that the Ukrainians are oppressing Russian speakers. Lisa's narrative contradicts all of that. She's an ethnic Russian speaking, and she's from Kyiv. And the building near her was blown out, some sort of, I don't know what kind of explosive. And she took her 18-month-old baby, her only child, and made a dash to the border all the way from Kyiv. And
how far is that?
Well, by car, it's in ideal conditions, it's to the border would be 5 hours, but
less than ideal during wartime.
Yeah, so outside of
long time.
Yeah, so it's a while. So she got there, and the father of the child. He's Polish, and he was waiting at the border for them, and they had a reunion, and then she told me it struck her that she couldn't She couldn't leave her country. And this mother handed her 18-month-old child into the arms of her husband. And she kissed them both, and she turned around and walked back into Ukraine. And that's when I met her. And she was a mess. But she said, look what they did to my city. Look what they did to my neighborhood, to my neighbors. And they want me to leave. I'm not leaving. And so she's back. She went back to fight.
And so you had the wherewithal, Jason, which I really appreciate, to pull your phone out and to talk to her for a second on the video, which I'm telling you, I've watched 100 times. I love it so much. We posted it on our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy on Facebook. And let's play the audio right now.
This is Lisa here from Kyiv. Lisa, why are you coming back to Ukraine? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa and I'm 24. I have a little son and I just gave him to his father in Poland, and now I'm coming back to Ukraine, and I want to go to Lviv and just doing something because they crashed the house near my house at night, and I live in Kyiv. Kyiv,
The house burned right near you?
Yes. I born in Kyiv.
Yes.
And it's my home. It's my home. I can do all here. Ukrainians need me. I think so.
Ukraine needs you, and the world needs your witness. Thank you, Lisa.
Like I said, I've watched this video with the sound and with the sound off as well, because her body language says so much. I mean, clearly she's broken, and her eyes and the sorrow in her. I would really encourage you to go find this on our Facebook page, just for you can see the intimacy of one person standing up to the Russian onslaught. I mean, it's so beautiful and at the same time so heartbreaking, Jason.
It really was, and I wanted to help her, but
what can you do?
What could I do? And I thought. I have to I don't like recording people. It seems invasive to me, but I thought.
I'm so glad you did.
Everyone has to see this story. And so I asked her if she'd mind me recording her, and she said, you can do it. And so I did it.
Talk about the provision of God for you when you were away, how you saw the hand of God, talking to Lisa, talking to the orphans that you met, just the amazing path, the torturous path you took from when you left Pittsburgh and coming back again.
When you're in grade 3, you're reading these books that have, I don't know what they're called, but they have variable endings. So you read.
Choose your own.
Choose your own, And that's what it was. Like, we didn't know how we'd get, once the car rental agency wouldn't let us rent.
Here's the fork in the road.
Yeah. So, what do you do? It's like, God, you're sovereign. You're in charge. And if you want these kids to get out, then you're in charge. You're going to have to provide an option. And so that door opened, and we ended up getting a taxi. And there were a number of cases like that of just things opening up. And in the midst of it, there's mental uncertainty. Mm-hmm. But there's the counter to it is this peace in the heart, So I can't understand if something like people, when I met there, I went to Ukraine, and some of the women we were getting out with their children, they wanted to know plans, hours, places, and I just said, I don't know that, but I know God will provide, and if you trust in Him, and He did every time. So there's, amidst the intellectual uncertainty, there's the corresponding peace that comes with being in the arms of your Father, and that never left us. But the concern, the intellectual, cognitive concern about how are all these pieces going to fall into place, that was there.
Very real.
Sure. That was
but
there.
Then there's the power of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. The calm assurance that all will be well. So it was really beautiful. And what another beautiful thing about Ukraine right now is that these people have found their calling and their dignity. We often don't find our responsibility, our maturity until we are invested with great responsibility. And this is Ukraine's hour in history to show the world how great David is, against Goliath. And men there have had a long history under the Soviet period of alcoholism. It's a curse of the nation. And it was so beautiful to see men at the checkpoints. We were at military checkpoints. We had our phones confiscated at one point, and they put guns into your car, and they want to know what you're doing. And it's rattling, but at the same time, it's beautiful to see that these men, all of a sudden, they're taking upon themselves the responsibility for their country, for their land, for their road, for their families. And they disavow alcohol. There's no alcohol allowed at these checkpoints. And all of a sudden, these guys are standing proud. Their shoulders are broad, and they've found their vocation as husbands, as men. So that was beautiful. And the other thing is, it's a land of bribery. When I lived there 20 years ago, bribery was rampant. People were offended by us offering them money. You give there are other people who gave us rides. The orphans we needed small rides from where the bus dropped us off to get up to the checkpoint. It was like a 3-kilometer drive, and so these little mini buses, piled the kids in, and
let's go.
Let's go. And gas is very expensive there. It's wartime. It's being rationed. And I tried to give him some money, and he was deeply offended. That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. So it took the pressure and the evil of war to bring out of these men and women
their best
virtue.
selves. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Jason, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
it's an amazing journey.
Eager to hear your story, and glad you could share it with us.
Yeah. Well, it's all because of one guy, Alan Sherwood, living up to a promise to a little girl. And so,
good job, Alan.
To your listeners, if you make a promise to a little girl, make sure to keep it.
Fabulous. Thank you, Jason. Father Jason Charron, Holy Trinity Ukrainian Catholic Church in Carnegie. We'll step away for just another minute. This is Pittsburgh's Christian Talk, The Ride Home on 101.5 Word FM. That's WORD.
Adopted her, she was a mess. Scabs, itching, licking, missing fur, hot spots, a thin, dull coat. So I take the dog to the vet for the standard run-of-the-mill tests and treatments. No results. I hear your advertisement on the radio. DINOVITE.com. So I get the 5-pound box of Dinovite and the Lico Chops within a 4-week total. Instead of a German Setter, I have a German Shepherd. Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life because she gets fed Dinovite. And the results, they're just incredibly outstanding. And she loves it. When you rescue a dog, you have to do the right thing. You've got to feed them right for life. Do the Dinovite. Dinovite for life.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Poverty was already rampant in Haiti, but the last 2 years have been especially devastating for children and their families. You can help when you sponsor a child with Compassion International. Get started today by texting the word radio to 97646.
Train up a child in the way they should go. Well, you know the rest. It's a calling you take very seriously as a Christian parent. And Trinity Christian School in Forest Hills seeks to honor your commitment by working together with parents to prepare students who are academically sound and spiritually ready to take their place in the world through a classical approach to education that helps build a faith from which they will never depart. Trinity Christian School, one of the top K-12 schools in Allegheny County at trinitychristian.net.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Kenotic and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh. And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
People are amazing. God is so good. So it gives you some perspective. I mean, it takes away the newspaper and the cable news shows, and you see, whether it's Alex or Jennifer in the first hour or Father Charron in our second hour, how God is working in this world. And to be a Christian, to be a person of peace, the power there and the strength.
That is hard work.
It is difficult, but you see God working in people's lives. I am encouraged.
Yeah, I thought something Jason said really stuck with me is that you can have all of the intellectual, you're trying to map out a strategy, you're trying to come up with your next decision, your next move, you're trying to figure out what your path is going to look like, and that's very real.
Yeah, it's a necessary thing.
Yes, it's not like you can skip over that part.
No.
But at the same time, in the back of your head, in your heart, you know that the Holy Spirit's guiding you, but it's still hard. It's still an intellectual fight.
I'm sure, especially when someone's pointing a gun at you, or you're seeing thousands of streaming refugees across the border.
Or you're seeing 22 kids get out of a van when you were expecting one.
Right. And you're trying to do your best to move forward to the next moment and have God in control, to surrender to God. I think it's a great roadmap for all of us, right? We all think, hey, Jesus, I got this.
You don't have this.
You don't have
We
this
don't know the tiniest little bit of the story that we're involved
glass
in.
darkly indeed.
God help us.
Hey, thanks as always for being with us. The podcast is up and running after we leave the air, and we're grateful you're with us.
Yeah, reach out on social media, Twitter, Facebook, email, whatever. Happy to have you with us. The ride home.
Have a great night, and say your prayers.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.